Come with me to a special place where the sky meets the mountains and the trees, where we can learn to see and live in harmony. Camp Nijona, the place I want to be. Nijona in Navajo means beautiful, for the beauty in all of nature's ways. It's the towering trees, the hawk on the breeze. Nijona brings magic to our days, as the sun sparks light from a drop of rain, giving life to all that we have known. We are all one with the cycles and the sun. Camp Nijona, our neighborhood, our home, our home. Camp Nijona, our neighborhood, our home.
Hi, I'm Julia.
I'm Adam. Welcome to Camp Nijona.
Nijona is a Navajo word meaning beautiful. Beautiful is what I think of when I think about our environment.
Our Camp Nijona motto is to protect, respect, and learn about our environment. And you know what? There are a lot of people doing great things for our world.
We want to introduce you to some of those kids, classrooms, and communities making a difference. In the next half hour, we'll ride horseback through the wilderness, hang out with some bats, and get to know some kids who are buying their own.
But right now, hang on tight, because our first story takes us on a wild ride on Arizona's Salt River.
Thanks, Adam. I'm standing here on the bare feet. Millions of people enjoy this river every year. Fun stuff. But today, people are involved in a special activity, the salt. They're having this cleanup day because trash along the river causes health and environmental problems. A lot of this trash clogs up the river and changes the natural flow of the water. The problem gets worse every winter because of heavy rains causes garbage from dump sites along the river's edge to fall into the river. People are collecting all kinds of trash, from tires to soda cans. A lot of this trash that is being collected can be recycled, such as aluminum cans, plastic bottles, glass, and paper. What kind of trash are you finding today?
Cans and paper.
Every year, about 500 people who are really into helping the environment come to the Salt River cleanup. In the past, they collected more than 20 tons of trash and expect to collect at least that much each time.
It's good because we're keeping our earth clean.
The message from the river is pack it in, pack it out. Back to you, Adam.
Wow, does that look like fun?
Yeah, it's important to enjoy our excellent outdoors.
Excellent.
But it's also important to leave places as good or better than we found them, giving those overloved areas a break. Ian, are you there?
Coming in loud and clear, Julia. And you know, you're right. Some areas are overused because they're overloved. This road has been used by mountain bikers, hikers, and horseback riders for a long time. The problem is that it runs right through a riparian area. A riparian area is a special environment with water and vegetation that attracts wildlife. Bike riders and other people using this road would travel right through a riparian area and scare the animals away. This heavy use would also cause erosion. Soil and rocks would be dislodged and washed away, making it hard for plants to grow, and water in the riparian area would become overly muddy. A solution is needed to keep the animals and plants from being disturbed, and for keeping the environment in its natural state. A group of really cool kids that work for the Youth Conservation Corps found a way to fix this problem. Using a variety of tools and a lot of hard work, they built a trail around the riparian area and got rid of the road by planting wild grass and seed on it. Many neat projects the Youth Conservation Corps kids do in the woods, according to YCC Supervisor John Orr.
We've done all kinds of projects from building cattle fencing, barbed wire fencing, jack pole fencing, painting buildings, cleaning trails, whatever needs to be done.
Working for the YCC is a good way for kids to make some money and help the environment. This is a success story, Julia, and now the mountain bikers have a new trail to ride on, and the overloved riparian areas will be given a break. Back to you, Julia and Adam.
Thanks, Ian.
Hey, did you see that?
Hey, look, it's an American bald eagle. You know, it wasn't very long ago that these majestic birds were on the brink of extinction. But now people have made a difference in saving these species, and they still are.
Let's check with our Camp Nijona Eagle Watch station. Base to Eagle Watch.
Eagle Watch here. Hey Adam, you know how we all love tree houses? It seems that eagles do too. We, the Camp Nijona Eagle Watchers, give a great big salute to a utility company. Yo!
Arizona Public Service workers headed to the woods one day to help the American bald eagle. The eagles visit the mountain each winter. They like to sit way up high on tops of tall trees and look for fish to eat. They especially like because there are no leaves or pine needles to get in their way. Unfortunately, some mountain lakes don't have tall trees near them. Forest Service wildlife biologist Kathleen Taylor says Long Lake is one of such lakes.
That around here perches, because it's pinyon juniper, the canopy is fairly level, they're fairly short trees, and there are no dead trees sticking up above the canopy.
So APS decided to bring in the next best thing. With the use of what looks like a giant drill, the workers burn through dirt and rock to make holes in the ground. The drill working against the hard rock caused so much friction and got so hot, smoke started to rise out of the ground. When the holes were deep enough, tall poles, kind of like telephone poles, were dropped in. At the tops, wooden platforms, or what you might call eagle treehouses. If you are an eagle looking for the best seed in the woods, this is primo. On a similar note, to make sure the American bald eagle continues to do well as a species, volunteers join in a massive eagle search each year. They report how many eagles they find and where they find them to the U.S. Department of Interior.
That's the latest from Camp Nijona Eagle Watch.
What are you listening to?
It's a San Francisco group with a rap about the environment. Here, listen. Cool, huh?
One day I just thought eco and rap, you put them together and what do you have? Something beautiful and something powerful. Fire and brimstone punctured the ozone, roam the whole zone, disasters unknown. The atmosphere and the air might appear clear, but beware, cause what's not seen is still there.
They'll put up a nice building and pretend to hear your cries, but fight for what you want and don't believe the lies.
You know, there are things out there that we have to first of all be aware of, and the toxic issues that are going on in our communities we're not aware of, and if we become aware of, we'll find out that they're causing just as many problems in our community as the crack epidemic is.
We take these young rappers out into schools, they begin rapping about these issues, and other kids.
Builders of nations, the architects of world civilization, a global invasion, erased and replaced, then placed each race in contaminated waste bins. Kids are playing in, dying and decaying in, couldn't survive even if they tried staying in. Lead poison kills and destroys baby girls and boys when they put it in their mouth like toys, cause they can't digest it. Blood test infested, blessed by the freezing till it's not freedom, but the government's tone deaf. People are homeless, some even own less, laws full of lies, some are falls in their alibis. My intro to genocide and suicide. We have to make sure that they're not allowed to set up toxic waste sites in our communities. You know what I'm saying? That's what young people have to do, is to get out and start to get involved.
I got into seriously involved in rapping back in '87. You know, I got involved in some youth, and as a vehicle to try to get whatever the point was across the youth, I started using rap.
Fire and brimstone punctured the ozone, roam the whole zone, disasters unknown. The atmosphere and the air might appear clear, but beware, cause what's not seen is still written.
What a neat way to make people aware of our environment. You deserve a Camp Nijona salute.
Yo! There's a whole network of kids out there making a difference. In fact, in July 1993, they called a summit in Ohio. That was the first ever environmental youth summit by kids, for kids.
Adults can only go if they are accompanied by a kid.
This unique week-long event was conceived, planned and pulled off by youths with the support of adult partners. A non-profit corporation run by kids called Three Musketeers approached the Forest Service and state foresters with the idea of a National Forestry Summit for kids. Summit workshops centered on specific environmental themes, such as animal habitat, waste management, urban forests, and water. Each day, a different topic was presented and discussed with the kids. For example, delegates on the Wet and Wild team learned how the local community became involved in cleaning up the Ohio River. Forest Smarts kids listened to a young delegate discuss the role fire plays in forest ecology. And kids from the lifestyles of the rich and animals had the opportunity to learn about and handle a baby alligator.
Get some people involved in this. You know, it's not just them stuck way off in the back of your head, you know.
All the delegates were empowered with the mission of going back to their local communities and getting issues. Reporting from Ohio on the Environmental Youth Summit.
Cool idea, but you don't have to.
You can use ordinary garbage and turn it into a powerful nutrient. Leftovers from and leaves are just some of the things that can be recycled. Composting is a way of turning what might seem like garbage into soil. This is an excellent way to create natural fertilizer for your family's gardens. This can be a simple process where food scraps are left to decompose. Composting bins can be made out of wood, plastic, or plexiglass. Usually 3 or 4 bins are ideal. The first bin is used to gather old vegetable and fruit leftovers, leaves, and other plant material. This plant material starts to break down and decay. Composting is done in batches, like cookies. The first batch is moved to the next bin when the new batch is started. Each batch in the bin must be turned about once a week so the material can be decomposed evenly. When a batch gets to the last bin after 4 to 8 weeks, it's become a dark, rich soil perfect for gardening.
Jamie Sullivan from Clearwater, Florida writes, Dear Camp Najona, I've heard that long ago, before we had Tylenol and Pepto-Bismol, people used plants to make themselves well. Do plants really have healing powers? Well, Jamie, we've looked into this and we found an amazing story in the Pacific Northwest. The Pacific yew is a tree that grows in places such as California, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. It used to be regarded as a weed and moved out of the way so more important trees could grow. But then, researchers discovered that the bark of the yew is important for fighting certain kinds of cancer, ovarian cancer, for example. From the yew, a drug called Taxol is created, and is proving to be successful for certain cancer patients. The Pacific yew story is a good one for demonstrating how every part of our ecosystem has a purpose, even if scientists haven't figured it out yet.
Researchers are making important discoveries all the time. Sure makes you wonder what happens when a species disappears from the Earth.
There are estimates that we are losing between 1 and 24 species from our world's rainforests each day. The complex forces driving the destruction of our rainforests cannot be reversed overnight, but efforts around the world are making headway.
In fact, some Flagstaff, Arizona 5th graders wondered what they could do. Now they are landowners. Check it out.
We go live now to our self-contained remote satellite unit, where Camp Najona reporter Natalie is standing by. Natalie, can you hear us?
Julia and Adam, you're breaking up a little. I'll have to make some adjustments. I'm standing in front of D. Miguel Elementary School, a place where kids are totally into taking care of our planet.
Almost all the nutrients are found up in the trees. And called, what is it called when they cut down? Slash and burn. And so when they slash and burn, they get all these nutrients in the soil, but it only lasts for a short.
Bill Bloom's 5th grade class. Here the students devote an entire week to learning about the tropical rainforest. They're learning that the rainforests are enormously important to the whole world.
They produce a lot of oxygen and they have many medicines in there that have not been yet discovered.
If you've ever been in a forest, you might remember breathing the cool, fresh, oxygenated air. The wonder of the world's trees is that they cleanse the atmosphere of carbon and release more oxygen for your type of vegetation. Nowhere is this process more important than because the warm, moist environment is more conducive to the photosynthesis and oxygen production than any other kind of forest. The plant and animal species on Earth. Some 40%, almost half, come from the tropical rain. There is enormous demand for all the things that grow in the rainforest. Things such as hardwoods, mahogany, teak, rosewood, which is one reason why the forests are disappearing so fast. Because so many plants and animals are so important for a healthy atmosphere, making sure we have them forever should be important to us all. After collecting a mountain of aluminum cans and bringing them to the recycling center, the class receives money. That money then is used to buy acres of the rainforest.
It's about 26 acres of the rainforest.
Recycling aluminum helps preserve the rainforest in another way too. A mineral called bauxite is used to make aluminum. Bauxite is mined in the tropical...
Like more aluminum, we won't have to mine as much bauxite. Then some of the pressure can be taken off the world's tropical rainforest. Dear Miguel 5th graders, this Camp Jonah salute is for you. Yo! That is the story from Flagstaff. Back to you, Camp Jonah Base Camp.
An aluminum can thrown away in the trash will still be in the landfill hundreds of years from now. An aluminum can recycled can be back on the supermarket shelf in 2 months. Making aluminum from raw materials is very expensive because of the amount of electricity it takes, but it only takes 5 to 10% as much electricity to make aluminum from scrap. Adam? Adam?
I was told that the Anasazi were in this area in the year 1200 and maybe beyond that. Our tribe is located just north of here, so I wouldn't have no doubts in my mind that a village of our ancestors.
Gary Lujan is a Taos Pueblo Indian. He is helping rebuild northern New Mexico, a pueblo where the Anasazi lived. Gary believes here like 900 years ago were his ancestors.
It teaches me a lot and ties in a lot of my histories that were given to me by grandparents, and it all blends together. Big picture.
One big picture, recreated with mud, straw, and trees. Pretty much the same materials used to build this prehistoric community are now being used to tell its story.
Sticks right on, doesn't it?
Archaeologist Chris Plonka explains.
This was a little home for some families, and they did hunting and gathering and agricultural gardens. This whole valley had a lot of families in it, starting from later ADs, 800, 900 AD, and they lived here till maybe 1350, 1400.
There are ruins from ancient civilizations all over our country, especially here in the Southwest. By studying them, we can learn more about the people who lived here, and that helps us learn more about ourselves. Gary, other volunteers, and the Forest Service are working to preserve this pueblo so kids can visit, get a feel for the people who lived here, and, in Gary's case, find out more about his ancestors. But even if you're not related to people who lived here, environmental educator Karen Cook says there's something here for everybody.
If people would live here with a respect for the land and the people and the different cultures that coexist, that would be the ultimate lesson that they could learn.
I'm Christian, reporting for Camp Najona.
Land managers say it's important to think about the past when planning for the future.
In the Southwest, many years ago, Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep roamed the countryside, but in some places, those sheep disappeared from being hunted or from disease.
In the wilderness of northern New Mexico, those sheep are making a comeback. Camp Najona reporter Seth takes us there on his horse.
High in the wilderness near Taos, New Mexico, are Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. Their ability to climb and live in extreme temperatures makes them perfect for the rocky, steep terrain and high elevation. For being wild, the sheep are actually pretty tame. They will even let you get close to them. In fact, some kids feed them tortillas, but that is not a good idea. Because the sheep live high in the wilderness, it's a long hike or horseback ride to see them. There have been massive efforts to bring these animals back to the Southwest. Helicopters are used to transport the sheep. They are blindfolded to keep them calm, and their legs are bound for the journey so they won't move around and hurt themselves or the people working to help them. In the late 70s, a herd of them was reintroduced into the wilderness. They used to live there naturally, but as the Southwest became settled, they disappeared because of disease and too much hunting. Now the sheep population is thriving, so much so that the New Mexico Game and Fish Department and the Carson National Forest believe some of the herd could be taken to the Weather Peak Wilderness to start a new population. Recently, about 20 ewes and lambs were trapped with a giant net and helicoptered to their new home. Normally, helicopters are not allowed into the wilderness. That's a rule for any kind of mechanized equipment because of the noise they bring into the area. But in this case, land managers gave special permission because helicopters were the safest way to move these sheep. Once they touched down, teams of biologists hurried to greet the animals. Wildlife biologist Amy Fisher says at this stage, minutes count.
We got to keep handling times down, we got to keep temperatures down and pulse and respiration down. They actually could die from the handling procedure.
The sheep are given shots to help them guard against disease. They are weighed and tagged so they can be tracked and animal experts can see how they are doing. Then after a truck ride, the sheep are free to check out their new territory, an effort to return a missing part of this ecosystem. From northern New Mexico, I'm Seth Ariano reporting for Camp Najona.
More and more, researchers are discovering that all things have a role in the delicate balance of our ecosystem and our world.
Even the smallest creatures are very important, and the more we know about them, the better off for everything and everybody.
A Dallas, Texas boy sure knows this. Ever since he was 4, he's been studying bats, and now that he's 18, he's one of our world's leading experts.
Even the scientists are going to him for information.
Camp Najona reporter Brad introduces us to this bat boy and some of his pals who hang out just at night.
There's really nothing in the world you can really compare them to except themselves. They're like little people with their own personalities, I guess.
Before Bert Granches started kindergarten, he fell in love with these little creatures. It was a picture in a magazine that grabbed a hold of his attention and held on tight.
I've been doing hands-on with bats since I was about 10 years old.
Today, Bert is one of the leading experts on bats and bat behavior, and what he is finding out and sharing with the scientists is totally new information. Most of us would expect bats to live in caves, like this one, but guess what? Bert is finding them in cracks and crevices in rocks, logs and stumps on the ground, and in big standing dead trees known as snags.
The basic point about finding bats is you want to have a good idea where you think they may be feeding or drinking, and once you find that, you have special nets known as mist nets, and you string it along between 2 poles, and if your nets are set right and the wind doesn't blow them too bad, you just catch the bats and get them untangled, and it's a pretty easy process.
Maybe easy for you, Bert, but that's not the end of the story.
You can have some that'll be really tame and gentle right out of the net. Some, it takes a few minutes to get them tamed down.
Then Bert holds the bat, shaves off a little of its fur behind the neck, and uses a tiny radio transmitter to it. And then the bat's free to go. It doesn't hurt the bats, but it does help researchers to find them. You see, the little transmitters send out radio signals. When a special antenna is pointed toward the bat, it sounds louder. The stronger the signal, the closer the bat. Then after a week or so, the glue dissolves and the radio falls off. Turns out bats play a very important role in nature. Get this, they eat their weight in insects, and that helps keep insect populations in check. They also are vital to plants, like this desert giant. As they spread the pollen, without bats, researchers say this already be in worse shape. Most of Bert's research is that's when the bats are active, since they depend on their high within their sight to locate food and get around. The dark is not a problem. But after you study them a little, you might fall in love too. Back to you, Camp Najona.
Be coming around here.
Yeah, Camp Najona. But always remember our motto, protect, respect, and learn about our environment. And we hope you'll join us again soon.
Yeah, same bad channel.
With me to a special place where the sky meets the mountains and the trees, where we can learn to see and live in harmony. Camp Najona, the place I want to be. Najona in Navajo means beautiful, for the beauty in all of nature's ways. It's to our days. As the sun sparks light from a drop of rain, giving life to all that we have known. We are all one with the cycles and the sun. Camp Nijona, our neighbor.